This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
We've all heard about the power of touch. In experienced hands, it can cure. So my guest today, Barbara Ahern, is a holistic practitioner. She's experienced in something called the Bowen technique, which is a specific type of touch and a massage that was introduced by an Australian healer named Tom Bowen. You're going to learn today what the Bowen technique is, what makes it different, and the vast kinds of conditions that it's helped in people and pets. I'm Jody L. Teich, and you're listening to the Pet Health Coach on Pet Life Radio. We're going to take a short break from our sponsor, and then you're going to meet Barbara when we return. So don't go away. Grab that healthy beverage, get comfortable, and we'll be right back.
Take a bite out of your competition. Advertise your business with an ad in Pet Life Radio podcasts and radio shows. There is no other pet-related media that is as large and reaches more pet parents and pet lovers than Pet Life Radio. With over 7 million monthly listeners, Pet Life Radio podcasts are available on all major podcast platforms, and our live radio stream goes out to over 250 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, Odyssey, TuneIn, and other streaming apps. For more information on how you can advertise on the #1 pet podcast and radio network, visit PetLifeRadio.com/advertise today.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Pet Health Coach with Jody Teich. This is on Pet Life Radio, and we're here today with Barbara Ahern, who is a holistic healer who specializes in something called canine AccuTouch. This is a healing tool that resolves many types of issues. So we're going to learn more about this. It could relate to your pet. And let's meet Barbara now. Hey, Barbara, how you doing?
Good. Thank you, Jody. Thank you for having me.
I'm really happy to have you. I want to share what you do with my listeners. Tell my listeners how you got started in natural healing.
Well, actually, it came about, I guess you could say, the hard way. I sustained an injury at a job that I was at. And for quite some time, I was in 24/7 pain. And I vowed that if I ever overcame that I would dedicate my vocation to helping other people in that same kind of pain.
Wonderful. So tell me where that took you once you got over it. How did you get over it? And where did that take you?
Well, one of the things that helped me for short term anyway was massage therapy. It helped release and just calm my muscles and the pain and the constriction that I had. It helped me, relieve the tightness and give me a sense of calm, even though it was, for a short amount of time. So I did take my training in massage therapy, and I thought, I can help so many people with this. So I graduated with my massage training. And then as I was doing massage, and I opened a couple of day spas, but anyway, while I was doing massage therapy, I was introduced to something called Bowen therapy from Australia. And the difference between massage and Bowen is, I feel that Bowen has more long-term effects, and it has helped so many of my clients overcome acute and chronic issues, no matter how long they go back in time.
Tell my listeners what the Bowen technique is and what makes it different. Yes, longer term effects is critical, but the way in which you use your hands in Bowen, and that one factor that a lot of people don't pay enough attention to when it comes to Bowen, which is what happens after you stop doing that, right? You tell what the difference is, because it is very different from what other people do.
It is. So Bowen therapy was created by a gentleman named Tom Bowen in the 1950s in Australia. And he was I call him a self-made practitioner. He was just an average layperson. And he experimented with a series of different moves, activations, very gently on the body. And he found that certain patterning of these moves that he did encouraged pain relief and problems that, again, people that have had neurological issues, people that have had problems with digestive issues, people that even had restrictions or constrictions where they were in a wheelchair because of nerve blockage. And some of these things were, miraculously relieved. And some people got up out of wheelchairs when they had this work. So he perfected this over 20 years. And now what we use is his system of activations in a patterning sequence with a 2-minute wait period in between these sets of activations.
That's what I was talking about, that wait period. Why the wait period?
Well, that is the secret sauce.
The secret sauce. Yes, exactly.
The wait period. Okay, so just to explain, Bowen is a balancing of the nervous system and a stimulation of the immune system. So what it does is it encourages the relaxation response, which is a calming of the nervous system and evening out and balancing everything into homeostasis. So the 2 minutes come from, let's say that you do like an activation on one part of the body. What happens is we do it very gently. And the reason for that is we're only trying to talk to the fascia, the nerve tissue in the film between the skin and the muscle. So we're just trying to wake that up. And once we stimulate that in a particular area, we wait for that signal, that neurological signal, to reach the brain, and the brain reconfigures and it says, just a moment, give me just a moment. And it sends back a corrective neurological feedback to the area of pain and trauma for correction.
So without that wait period, continuing to work on that or other parts of the body, it sounds to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, like the body is experiencing a multi-lane highway of information without the ability to process it. Right.
Exactly.
So that's huge.
It's like I say, it's the secret to it. Not only just the points of sequence, which help the body to, take the information as we give it, but also the ability to allow the brain to translate what we're asking it to do. And if you rush it, it takes too many commands. And it's like, oh, just a minute, let me dump everything until you decide what you would like me to do.
Yeah,
So when we give it that activation and we give it the time, now it says, okay, your wish is my command. What would you like me to do next? And so then it allows the body to literally listen for the changes requested. And so then it builds on each of these sets of moves. So we've got that one down. Okay, now we're going to ask it to do something else. So then it takes this complete pattern and the time that we've given it to process what we're asking it to do. And then we go 5 to 7 days normally in between sessions, because we want to, now that we've asked the body what to do, okay, it's acknowledged what we want it to do. Now let's give it the time to do what we've asked it to do. And it's a process to do that. A lot of times in the US, we're so into instant, we don't allow the body to make the corrections in its own time.
Yeah. I think that more and more we're realizing how incredibly powerful, precise, and capable our bodies are of healing if we get out of our own way. And this, to me, is so fascinating that the body is taking this information in through the energetic work of the hands in in this special way, and then needs that time to process it so we can actually do what you've asked it to do, which, wow. Let's take a bridge now between the work that you did with humans and tell us how you got involved in working with animals. What took you there?
Well, one of my clients that I had called me one day and she said, you know, Barb, you have helped me so much with the work that you have done with me with Bowen therapy. My dog Princess has injured herself, and I would like to know if you could please help her. And I thought I would love to help her, but I didn't really know how to do it. So I took the moves that I'm familiar with in Bowen therapy, and I did the best I could at mimicking those moves on her. And so what was happening was she had a lab mix, and the dog jumped up in the air to catch a ball. And when she came down, she screamed and couldn't stand. And so the vet said that it was a shard of cartilage that shot through the spine. And he said, surgery will not help. It will take 6 weeks for her to be able to have this dissolve and get the function of her legs back. So you have to beat her back legs for 6 weeks. So she called me a few days after Princess had this accident. And I came over and I did the work. And I thought, you know, time will tell. And she calls the next morning and she said, you know, Barb, 4 hours after you left, Princess stood up on her own and walked to the door to be let out.
Oh
And
my God.
I got the chills to that.
Wow.
That was the very first of my aha moments of some of the animals that have responded so well to this. And so since then, I have even advanced the work that I've been doing.
Incredible. You also told me that you've worked with an organization that also inspired you to do this work. Tell us about that.
Well, after I was working with the dogs for some time in the work that I do with Canine AccuTouch, and I was in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, and I had the opportunity to work with service dogs in training to help people that were blind. And in the work that I did there, I was able to help these dogs that were in training with being able to focus, being able to have more stamina, more time in the field with their clients. And it helped them deal with the stresses of the tremendous demands that a service dog carries. It's just unbelievable, the responsibility of a 1.5 to 2-year-old dog and what they're expected to do, you know, for the life of their career. So that really made my heart think, okay, it's important to do a training course that would help these dogs perform not just at their maximum ability, but also for the longevity of their career, because the people who receive these dogs, it's a part of their life, and they want these dogs to be with them for a long time.
Very deep relationship. So that's beautiful. Explain a little bit about, I know you said you mimicked the moves that you did on humans on Princess. Now it's many years later of working on lots and lots and lots of animals and having lots of successes, which later after the break, I want you to tell a couple of stories, because I think it's important for people to know about these successes. But tell us a little bit more about the kind of work that you do on the animals to relieve certain conditions.
Okay.
Like what you would do.
Okay. So Canine AccuTouch is, I call it a hybrid therapy, because I took the work that I learned as a Bowen practitioner on humans, which has the sequencing pattern, and it also has the wait periods. So I found that the moves that Tom Bowen did actually correlated with the acupoints of the body. So I found those acupoints And they were the same points in many areas where Tom worked that worked on the nerve pathways of the body, the chi, the energy of the body. So then the third confirmation, the third therapy that's involved in this therapy of canine AccuTouch is trigger point. Now, trigger points are areas of the body that are constricted and tight and restricted, large areas of muscle that and tendon and ligaments that are constricted. And so when that area is relieved, then the body goes back into its relaxation point again. So I found that all three of these therapies coincide at certain points in the body. And so I took those three and I'm able to utilize all three of those in one touch. So it's like three proven therapies that turn into one. And so the dogs they're very relaxed by it. They, when I do the work on an animal, they relax before I even finish the session. The moves are very gentle. They are calming for the dog. They really help with so many different issues that dogs present with when I work with them. So it's a very rewarding vocation to have. To help the dog.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Two things. One, do you ever work on cats? Cats are wily creatures.
That's a good question.
So that's one.
Okay.
And then the other is, what kinds of issues has canine AccuTouch helped with in animals?
Okay, good questions. First of all, yes, I have worked on cats and I do work on cats, also horses. But because I specialize with the canines, then that's why it's canine AccuTouch. But these moves work on any kind of an animal. Even I had someone come to me one time and they said, well, you help my dog. Can you help my chicken? And that my chicken was attacked. And I said, you bring me the anatomy of a chicken and I'll work on your, your chicken.
Did it work?
Yes, it worked.
Oh,
And I've also worked with veterinarians that have used this on their farm animals, because one large animal vet asked me, she asked me about the work and I told her about it. And she said, I've got a sheep that this would be really good for. I think I'm going to try it on the sheep, because I told her that I would come over and show her how to do this. And so she watched me and then she repeated a couple of the things and worked on the sheep.
the sheep felt better. All right.
All animals, anything with a nervous system.
Perfect. Tell us some of the conditions that this work has helped animals with.
Well, if you have, for example, an animal that has been rehomed, let's say you've adopted a dog or a cat or a dog, and this animal has a problem with stress and fear and separation anxiety, can't relax, depending on where they came from and what their history is, we don't know what that is. I always say canine AccuTouch, because dogs don't meditate. Okay.
That's a good tagline.
It instills that relaxation response passively for them. So it helps them in a way to let go of things that they don't know how to let go of. They don't know how to do deep breathing. They don't know how to, repeat a mantra. They don't know how to do things that can help them let go. So this passively helps them do that. Another thing that I think is fascinating with this work, as I mentioned, I've actually worked on 7 dogs that couldn't walk at the time, and 6 of them recovered completely. The 7th one, the client waited quite a while and didn't bring the dog in, in a shorter amount of time. But the 6 that recovered, half of those dogs were told by the pet owners to have them put down. They said that that's our recommendation, and they didn't want to do that, and they wanted to try something else. And so it's helped those dogs, because it helps with what happened was with Princess, for example, that cartilage was broken down by the treatment canine AccuTouch helped to dissolve that calcification in record time. So that's what it does. It processes the toxins out through the lymphatic system. It balances the nervous system to allow the body to absorb the information we're giving it. And it stimulates the immune system to activate much faster. So all this happened in a very short amount of time. So things like inflammation, breaking down calcifications, whether it be, let's say you have a bone spur, you have plantar fasciitis, you have something like that. Anything that prevents the body from overcoming it because of that long-term calcification. Things like the spasms, muscle spasms, and seizures are addressed because it calms the nervous system. It has a way to isolate the one problem that is getting a mixed signal from the brain. Let's say that you have Tourette's, you have a ticking, or a dog that has a seizure, or has head tremors, or has some kind of a muscle spasm constantly. The brain is not getting the right information from the nervous system. So instead of calming the whole body with some kind of, drug, or instead of allowing that tick to continue, what canine AccuTouch does is it isolates the one misfire from the brain, and with that neurological feedback saying, okay, I've got the new signal, I'm sending back the corrective action. So it knows how to isolate. I always say it's smarter than a dolphin. You don't have to do anything once.
I love these expressions that you've created. You've got a tagline a minute over here.
I think so, yeah. I think it's
well,
very
that's amazing. I know there are more things that this does, but people will see this when they find you. We are going to take a short break from our sponsor, but don't go away. Why don't go away? Because when we return, you're going to learn exactly what happens in a session, any side effects associated with a canine AccuTouch session, and amazing success stories of animals healed through this work. So refresh that healthy beverage, get cozy, and we'll be right back.
Molly, here's your dinner. Zeus, that's not your food.
Don't let that happen to your precious cat. Elevate your cat's eating experience with the Cat Tree Tray. The Cat Tree Tray keeps your cat's food off the floor and conveniently located on the cat tree. It's the perfect way to eat. It's a beautiful wrought iron tray that easily attaches to your cat tree and keeps dogs and other critters out of your cat's dish. A must for multi-pet households. There's a 6-inch tray for large bowls and a 4-inch tray for smaller bowls. Purchase your Cat Tree Tray today. Go right now to cattreetray.com. That's cattreetray.com. cattreetray.com.
Let's talk pets
Let's talk pets
on Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back. If you've just joined, you're listening to the Pet Health Coach. I'm Jody L. Teich, and we are on Pet Life Radio. We're here today with Barbara Ahern, who is a practitioner and expert in canine AccuTouch, which helps animals recover quickly from a host of conditions and illnesses. Barbara, let's talk about what happens specifically during a canine AccuTouch session, how long it takes, how often a pet needs to do it, and what can people expect?
Oh, that's a very good question. Okay. Well, what happens during a session is I work on the dog wherever they are. Let's say that they want to walk around a little bit. They are not quite, okay to lie down, whether they're standing or lying or moving around. I'm able to work with them by doing the activations. I do usually 2 sets of activations at a time, and then I allow that 2-minute wait period in between. So again, they can be walking, they can be standing, they can be lying down, sitting, but normally they lie down for the treatment. And if they're not lying down yet, within a couple of activations, they're lying down. Because it's like something, some kind of a switch is hit.
Yeah, the parasympathetic nervous system
That's
switch.
exactly right. Exactly
Yes.
right. So that relaxation response starts right away. I find that animals are so in tune to that. There's no placebo effect. So it's not like, well, she's hardly touching me. So, I don't think this is going to work. They're not, they just
Right.
allow it to work. They have no preconceived notions of, well, I don't think so. They just allow it to work. And so, in doing that, I give them 2 minutes in between each set of the moves. And it takes about 30 to 45 minutes in total to finish that series of moves for the animal, depending on which moves that we're doing at that time. Now, the first session, I say it like this, the first session resets the body. The second session reminds it like, oh, you want me to stay in this direction. The third session retains it like, oh, I got it. You want me to go on this for the long term. You don't want me to go back to my old habit of that limp that I had. And then the fourth one maintains it. So now they're on for a longer term in between sessions. So I usually do 4 sessions of about a week apart. And then we reassess and decide, when their next session is going to be to keep up their maintenance.
And maintenance is important, right? I mean, is this something that they do ongoing?
Maintenance is important. And here's what happens. Because this is, smarter than a dolphin, it re-educates the body. It actually resets it. And it says, okay, now I know exactly how to stay in this pattern. But just like if, let's say, a person receives Bowen and they step in a hole, and then it's like, okay, well, I guess I should go back for maintenance, or I guess I should go back sooner than what Barbara said that, my maintenance session should be. And what it does is when you do the maintenance, it allows the body to stay longer term on the pattern that we've corrected for it or put it back in its own sync. So sometimes it can be, maybe the first maintenance session is 2 weeks out. And then the next one would be 3 weeks and a month, 3 months, 6 months, like that. But the body retains so much of this that normally when an animal receives the treatment, sometimes it's corrected in the first session. Sometimes it's 2 or 3 sessions. They respond very quickly to it. But maintenance is a really good idea because I have a 3-legged dog that has maintained and retained its balance without going crooked for years because she's keeping up the maintenance. So I've been told by a lot of the people that have tripods is that their problem is they go crooked because they have to tweak their balance and
overcompensate.
Exactly. So this allows for the body to stay in balance, and it reminds it to stay that way.
I think, yeah, it makes sense to me because I think like with learning anything new, shifting from something you've done one way for a long time, you have to constant spaced repetition. You have to remind the brain over and over again until it really becomes a part of the subconscious. It's really seeps into the body in a deep way. So yeah, that makes complete sense to me. Are there any side effects to a session, a canine AccuTouch session?
No. Because the practitioner is not making any kind of magical, unusual, different kind of moves. Basically, we're not instilling anything other than removing the blocks that allow the immune system and the nervous system to go back into its corrective balance. We're just getting those blocks out of the way. And so now your body can perform the self-healing that it was intended to do. because we all have the ability to do that, people and animals. But sometimes, things happen, traumas happen, physical, emotional, physiological, mental. Those things happen and they get in the way. And then the body now has memorized those new things. Not positive, but still memorized nonetheless. And so this helps break that pattern and brings it back into homeostasis, into balance that it needs to have in order to perform.
Yeah. I love that it's gentle and effective. Tell us a couple more stories
Okay,
about
great.
your successes and
I
what
love them.
helped.
So
Yeah.
many. So one about anxiety, separation anxiety, stress, fear. I had this one client, this canine client, that was brought to doggy daycare every day. And I remember the owner said that she would like me to work with him because of this. He was afraid of, had phobias of noise and men and, being separated from mom and just a little basket case, just shaking all the time. And so the first time I worked with this little dog, he calmed down even halfway through. He stopped the vibrating, and so I worked on him for a series of I think I did maybe at least 2, possibly 3 series, of 4, and I had not just the owner, but I had the attendants from the doggy daycare say, Barb, I can't believe how much Odie has changed. Instead of being afraid of the male attendants here, he goes with them without a problem. And instead of trying to chew his way out of the chain link fence in the yard, he sits in his little bed and just watches everything go by. And he's a social with the other dogs now. And I said, gosh, that's wonderful. I love to hear that. And then the owner told me the last time I spoke to her, she said, I want to send you a video, Barb. Here's a video of Odie. I never told you that he was only able to make one of his jumps in his agility classes. Here's a video, all 9 jumps, his focus, his stamina, his just intent, focus on the course. So it addressed his attention span as well as his phobia of the fear that he had with stress and anxiety.
Yeah. And God, that pet parent must be so
over the moon.
Over the moon. Yes. Yes. Can you share one more?
Sure.
Okay.
I worked with a dog that had a response to a seizure medication that he was given. So first of all, he had a seizure. He went to the vet, and the medication that they gave him, he had a very adverse reaction to. And when I went to work on him, I went to this person's home, and oh my gosh, I saw this firsthand, a seizure that was so violent, I just could hardly fathom what that dog was going through. And of course, he was walking back and forth and, whining and all kinds of things. And I said, what were you told about this? And she said, well, it's probably going to take 2 to 3 weeks for him to calm down and be able to accept the medicine. And I thought, oh my gosh, to live like that for 2 or 3 weeks, I couldn't imagine 2 or 3 minutes. So I worked on him, and and of course was the same when I left. There was no change when I left. And we set up an appointment to work 5 days afterwards. So we met in 5 days, and I said, that can't be the same dog that I worked on. Can't be. And she said, Barb, the day after you left, there was a tremendous turnaround, a tremendous change. And she said, over the next couple of days, things calmed down even more. And she said, he's back to his old self. It's like it never happened. And so it really calms the nervous system. It really stops that misfire. And he was just the perfect little dog. Yeah.
So over the course of your sessions, his seizures went away?
Yes.
And he never had to go on medication or anything like that?
No.
Wow. That is so beautiful. Oh my God. Very, very exciting.
Again, rewarding. Better than
Yeah.
delivering flowers.
Yeah. So tell my listeners, first of all, how are you able to work with pet parents? And then we'll get into like the packages that you offer. But how are you able to work with pet parents? What are the options? Because not everybody is in the city that you live in where you can
Right.
go to them or they can come to you. And I know that you started working remotely. Tell us about that.
Well, the thing about this work is it's not just hands-on. I mean, it is hands-on, but when I do the hands-on on an animal, it actually stimulates and activates vibrational frequency in the nervous system, in the muscle tissue. And
Energy
what
medicine.
Yeah, energy medicine. And energy medicine conveys. So the same work that I do, the same results that the dogs get under my hands, they also receive the exact same, if not even more of a balance is the distance work that I do. And so I work. I'm here in California, and I work on the clients that are near me. But I also work with clients that in North Carolina, in New York. I work with clients across the miles, so to speak. And
Yeah.
yeah, and it's fascinating because when someone asked me to first do that, they said, "Barb, you've done remote sessions with me. I've really benefited from it. Can you work with a friend of mine who has a dog that has issues, with really bad hips?" And I said, "Okay, well, wait a minute now. You can tell me that you could lie to me and tell me, oh, yeah, hey, Barb, I feel really good." I said, "The dog can't lie. It can't lie."
This is the North Carolina Labrador.
Yeah, North Carolina.
Tell that story because this was your first remote session, right?
This was my first remote session. And,
Yeah.
and so when she asked me to work on this dog in North Carolina, I said, okay, all right, and we'll try this. So I worked on the dog that night. And the next morning, well, first of all, she took a video, and this dog had laryngeal paralysis, which affects the whole nervous system. So things start to go south as far as the swaying in the back and
Yeah.
the inability to, breathe very well.
Yeah. I mean, this sounds like a rabies vaccination side effect. This is very much like that. But anyway.
So what happened was she sent me the video of the dog before I did the session, and it was, really laboring to breathe. And so I did the session that night, and the next morning she sent me a video, and she said, "Take a look." And the video, he was breathing normally and he was calm. And she said he wanted to go for his walk this morning. And normally it's like he's just laboring and just really, lobbing around. And she said, "I can't believe the difference just in one session." And I thought to myself, that's great.
Yes.
Because like I said, dogs don't lie.
No,
People
confirmation.
I
This
want to
works
hear.
with pets
Yeah,
remotely.
dogs can't lie.
So
Yeah.
anybody listening who has a pet wherever you are, who has an issue, this may be able to really benefit them. And you don't have to be in the same place as Barbara. That is phenomenal. Now, tell pet parents what kinds of packages you offer so they know what to expect.
Okay. So there are several different kinds. There are, I had someone ask me one time, well, I have a puppy and my puppy doesn't have, hip problems, so I don't need this work. And I thought, oh my gosh, I must not be, telling people everything there is to know about this. So I do packages for puppies. Puppies, in helping the immune system, it really helps their digestive health, because that's a critical time for puppies when they're very young. They need to make sure that their immune system is very strong. It also helps with resiliency and helping keep their muscles and their tendons and their ligaments strong and flexible, because they can get hurt when they're little, when they play really rough. So this really keeps them strong that way.
Also, Barbara, one thing I have to interject, and I'm sorry to interrupt, puppies are getting their puppy vaccines, and they all do. And even holistic vets would not say, don't give them puppy vaccines. They may tell them, do it a little bit older, do it spread apart more, but they won't say don't do it. So this sounds to me like it could help mitigate any fallout from those puppy vaccines.
Yes, because what this does is, as I said, because it pushes the toxins through the lymphatic system in record time.
Perfect.
So any kind of poisons or toxins or anything that the body is trying to discharge because it cannot assimilate all of it in a healthy way and kick back and do something derogatory to the body, this helps process that.
That's so important. So tell us about any other packages that you have.
If a dog, for example, has had a serious injury or a surgery, there's a package that I do that has to do with accelerating the healing process so much faster. So whether they've had surgery or let's say that they have an extreme gait issue that they can't overcome, a spasmed muscle or something like that, this helps to really target the areas of concern. So each package I do, I actually customize it for the animal as well as the situation that they're going through. So surgery recovery. There's also a package I do for, I call it the golden years. It's for senior dogs that have dysplasia. Just because they have dysplasia doesn't mean it's a life sentence. You know, when they have the ball doesn't go into the socket joint correctly, and so it wears and it rubs and it creates arthritis. This helps the alignment of the body so that can be corrected. It doesn't have to be something that's lifelong for them. So that kind of thing happens with senior dogs. That's where you're going to see the limping, the gait issues, the pain, the arthritis form. So I have a package for that. Also, performance and service dogs. Oh my gosh, what they're expected to do, all the things that they have to do. It keeps their focus, their stamina, their longevity in their career. It's wonderful for all service and performance dogs that have to be in the height of focus at that time. And so, there's certain things that we do that really helps with whatever issue that they have. I do also one having to do with, it's called Keeping Fido Fit. You have a healthy dog, let's keep them that way. Let's make sure that they stay strong in their immune system to fight off anything that can come at them, and be able to keep them, just healthy and happy for the rest of their life. Health and wellness is something that needs to be at the forefront instead of, practicing something by way of catch up. So I think if you keep a dog in shape and you keep that, you keep their maintenance up. I mean, you don't change your oil one time and expect the car to continue to work for you. So it's basically just taking care of their wellness, and then they'll give you so many more happy years together.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Where can people find you, Barbara?
My website is canineacutouch.com. So it's canine spelled out and then ACUTOUCH.com. Also, Instagram is canine_acutouch. And my LinkedIn is Barbara Ahern. And you'll recognize me as Barbara Ahern with a picture of a beautiful, massive German Shepherd that's getting ready to give me a kiss.
Oh, love that. Thank you so much, Barbara, for being a guest on my show. It was so interesting to learn about what you do. I hope that pet parents listening, that you also got value out of hearing what Barbara does and knowing that there's yet another natural option to help your animals heal and be well and have more health, vitality, and longevity. So I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you very much, Jody. Appreciate it.
Sure. And thank you all for listening. As a pet health coach, my mission is to share holistic healing options for pets and their parents seeking a natural approach to wellness. So tune in next time for information, expert interviews, and tips to give the animals we love the longest and most vibrant life we can. I'm Jody L. Teich, and this is the Pet Health Coach.
Let's Talk Pets every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.